Good day, everyone. So, for today, we'll be focusing on generative syntax, particularly on prescriptive and descriptive rules, constituency, and constituent recursion. Let's begin with the first part, the prescriptive and descriptive rules. Syntactic theory is the kind of rules that determine how words and language are put together to form larger units that has meaning, and how speakers of the language get to know what are the possible and impossible orders of words in the language. What is it that the speakers know when they know the syntax of their language? If the speakers know the syntax of their language, then they know how to make good sentences. They know the rules of good grammar. Prescriptive rules tell you what you should do with the language and is taught or learned consciously even to the native speakers of the language. However, the vast bulk of what the speakers know about their language is not taught explicitly. Examples of this are rules such as don't split infinitives. So instead of saying he decided to quickly leave the room, the sentence should be he quickly decided to leave the room. Another prescriptive rule is to not end sentences with a preposition. So the sentence, which girl did you confess to, should be to which girl did you confess? Just like how the world works, linguistics has its own laws that we must follow. There is no particular body that has authority to decide what is or what is not good in language. Although some languages do have formal authorities who can codify and consider what is correct and incorrect in linguistic behavior. The thing that makes the laws of society and the prescriptive law similar is that they are good guides of what people should do, but are also the ones that are forgotten and disobeyed all the time. There are also laws that exist in the world, such as law of nature or law of physics, that do not exactly tell how nature or physics must behave. Instead, these laws are observations about regularities in the universe. Descriptive grammarian or linguists looks at the situation this way. They observe individuals and derive generalizations about the way people behave and induce statements from regularities. It's important to know about what speakers of a language do and what they don't do. There are other kinds of linguistic behavior apart from speaking, producing, and writing. Speakers of languages have the ability to judge if that sequence of words are possible in their language. This judgment is a linguistic behavior that is a good source of data about regularities in human language. The sentence Anna read a book could be transformed into which book did Anna read? However, the sentence Anna read a book and a newspaper cannot be transformed into which book did Anna read and a newspaper because it is syntactically unacceptable. In the same way, you can transform the sentence Jeff is eager to please to what is Jeff eager to do? But you can't transform the sentence Jeff is easy to please to what is Jeff easy to do, since it is considered as ill-formed. It is the job of the syntactician to work what is the rule behind that and figure out what makes it ungrammatical. Now that we're done with the first part, let's proceed to the second one, which is constituency. Sentences have an internal structure. Words form groups, and these groups of words can form larger groups. These groupings is called constituents. The rule for forming yes or no questions is to take the first auxiliary after a certain group of words and move it to the beginning of the sentence. This means that the rules of syntax are sensitive to the structures of sentences. Constituents can also contain smaller constituents. For example, the sentence the boy who is holding a plate is already a constituent, but it contains smaller ones. The plate is also a constituent. The sentence tall boys hold the plate has two constituents, each one containing two smaller constituents, so now you have the total of 4. The smaller constituents can consist of another smaller constituents, and so on. The last part of the discussion is constituent recursion. Constituents could contain constituents that have a different and the same types. This is what makes syntax recursive. In this, we can make an infinite number of sentences from a finite number of ways and a finite ways of combining them. For example, John regrets that fact. The sentence has a verb which is regret and the noun phrase which is that fact. Regret is a verb that allows the possibility of not having a noun phrase following it, but having a sentence following it. So you could also say that John regrets that Mary was not invited. This means that we have a sentence, John regrets that Mary was not invited, which contains a smaller sentence, which is Mary was not invited. This is an instance of recursion. The sentence Mary was not invited can also contain a word like think, which can also be followed by a sentence. So, Mary thinks that John was wrong. We can take this structure and merge it after regret. So, we have John regrets that Mary thinks that John was wrong. There's a limit on how sentences could go on since humans can get out of breath when speaking or they have limited memory. But the system does not impose the limit. Syntax allows you to build sentences that are infinitely long. That is all for today, and thank you for listening.